on and we can see you, just say something so we can test your mics, make sure you're unmuted.
I'm on.
Okay.
And I'm here as well.
Great. Okay. So we can see you and hear you. I'm going to ask everyone else to please mute themselves. Just to make it easier to hear what people say. So welcome, PUD candidates. Congratulations on proceeding through the primary election. Even though I guess because you're not a partisan race, you weren't really on the ballot. So, and because there was only 2 of you. So this is really when the people start turning their attention to the general election. We're very pleased that you wanted to come and meet with us and answer our questions. So we're just going to get started. You'll have a half an hour. The county commissioner candidates are immediately following you. So we're going to have to do a hard cutoff at 7:15. I'm going to give you each 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. And I think we'll just go alphabetically by last name for this first introduction, and then we'll just switch the order from that point on. So Jerry Asmussen, you're first. You have 2 minutes. Yeah, just tell us who you are and why you're running to get reelected.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jerry Asmussen. I'm a rancher and auctioneer from Tonasket. I'm 61 years old, married with 2 children, and have lived in Okanagan County most of my life. I earned 2 degrees from WSU, one in agriculture economics and the other one in animal science. I am seeking re-election for Okanagan County PUD Commissioner position number 3. This is the end of my first term, and I have served as the chairman of the board for 5 out of the 6 years. Prior to that, I served 20 years on the Tonasket School District School Board, many years as chairman of that as well. I serve as a board member of the Okanagan Conservation District and am appointed by the Washington State Conservation Commission. Also, I am a board member of the Hamilton Youth Foundation, and I volunteer at many charity and fundraising auctions and numerous other community events. Having served on various boards, I have gained and demonstrated the skills needed to be a successful PUD commissioner. I have set policy, evaluated and hired executive directors, worked with complex budgets, worked with fellow board members, and most importantly, listened to others. These skills have enabled me to represent the PUD on the Energy Northwest Board of Directors and being selected as secretary of that board as well. While working as an auctioneer and volunteering, I have worked for and with the people of all parts of Okanagan County. This gives me experience with a wide variety of people and situations throughout the county and a desire to see the whole county continue to be a wonderful place to live. I believe in learning from the past and planning for the future. As a PUD commissioner, I focus on reliable electric and broadband service at a reasonable cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. You hit it 2 minutes, right on the nose. Okay, Joseph Enzensperger, your turn. You got 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, my name's Joseph Enzensperger. I'm a 45-year resident of Okanagan County. I left Eugene, Oregon in 1976 in search of land and community, which was small enough and rural enough that I could grow food, be self-sufficient, and also interact in a productive manner in my community, small enough that my voice could be heard and my ideas could make a difference. I followed the Okanagan County PUD closely since 2010, when I became involved with decisions regarding the Smilkameen River and the re-energizing of Enlow Dam, which is 3.5 miles from my house. And I would have to say the Smilkameen River and the canyon that the dam is located in my mind, one of the most beautiful, amazing parts of our county. So I fell in love with the river and I chose to live in Oroville, Washington. And I've been in the same small house on Central Avenue since 1980, 42 years. My house was built in 1915 from recycled material from the town of Old Molson up in the Highlands. And I'm very, very active in my community. I'm the president of the Oroville Grange. I involve myself in many community service projects. I've been the music coordinator at the Orville Farmers Market, which I'm proud to say has live music every Saturday and is a great source of enjoyment to the community, as well as a source of income for the many musician friends that I am fortunate to know and sometimes get a chance to play music with as well. My concerns for the future are utilizing our resources to the best possible benefit of our community. And I think Enloe Dam in particular had its day in 1920, and it was a tremendous asset to our community, but its day has passed. And what it really means to this community is probably as a fishery and a vital river for outdoor recreation and sustaining food supply for our communities. It once was home to an abundant steelhead population that, of course, has been denied access to the cold waters of the Cascades since 1923, when the dam was completed.
Okay, Joseph, your time is up. Thank you so much. Okay, now I am going to open it up. So if any of our members or people present here would like to just raise their hand, either virtually or in real life, please do so. And I'll try to call on people in the order that they raise their hands. So does anybody? Okay, Jason. Jason has a question. Thank you.
I guess for either person or both, actually. What's your plan for the future and maintaining steady supply of cheap electricity, and what's your plan for the future?
Okay, so we'll switch orders this time. So this time Joseph will go first and then Jerry. So 2 minutes. Joseph, go ahead.
Well, here in Okanagan County, we're fortunate to have the abundant hydroelectric power produced at Grand Coulee and Chief Joseph Dam and the Bonneville system, as well as Wells Dam, which is co-owned by Grant, Douglas, and Chelan counties. So I think we have an abundant source of hydroelectric power. The question is, how will we use it? I think energy efficiency is probably the best source of new energy that we have available to us, and helping our ratepayers to conserve electricity will offer our utility managers more electricity that they can sell on the wholesale market, which will help our utility to pay its bills and not need to raise rates. We're a very poor county compared to the rest of the state, and rate increases hit working people very hard. So I would emphasize energy conservation as our #1 source of new energy. And I would also encourage our utility to make small steps toward investing in the new generation of solar power. As the panels have become more and more efficient, they can offer some additional energy sources that are not tied to the high transmission lines from the big dams, but are locally based and gives us a sense of resiliency and self-reliance, which will become very important, I think, in the years ahead.
Okay, thank you. Jerry, you have 2 minutes to answer the question. Do you want to hear the question repeated?
No, I wrote it down. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okanagan County has long relied on cheap electrical power, which has been capitalized into our economy. And most of this was done through not really making a lot of investments in our electrical system while it was still relatively new. So it has developed age. And I see procurement of power as one of our larger risks to the financial stability of our PUD, because the Wells power that we get from Douglas County is our saving grace, because we can blend it in with the BPA power to reduce our costs. We also get some of our power from our ownership of the Nine Canyon Wind Power Project down in the Tri-Cities, which previous boards invested in years ago, and those bonds are finally getting paid off. But the powers that be throughout the Northwest have determined that if you need a little extra power, you need to rely on the open market for it. And that in the past has really pushed us to the financial brink in certain cases. So I'm always looking to procure firm, reliable power, as well as having the flexibility to meet our peak needs. And I think it does rely on our hydro system and through the use of long-term contracts, and at the same time looking at advanced new ways of producing power.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have another question? Next question.
Can you hear me, Katie? This is Pat.
Yes, I can hear you. Do you have
Okay,
a
so
question?
I would just like to hear from each candidate their view of the Unload Dam and whether it should, be made to become operational or whether it should be torn down.
Okay, great. We'll switch the order around. Jerry, you'll go first on this one, 2 minutes.
My view on Enloe is, it's a legacy asset that the PUD acquired when we took over the system from the Washington Water Power. And so along with all the other assets, that is one of the assets we acquired. When I first ran, I viewed it as an asset of the PUD and thought all assets should be performing. As we got more and more data searching to relicense, the costs seemed to be uncontrollable, and so we stepped away from that. And currently I see it as, limiting the liability and the cost to the ratepayers of the PUD, whichever the way the data leads us. Currently that is to meet our safety and maintenance needs and to see where we go from there.
Okay, thank you. Joseph, 2 minutes to answer the question about the Enloe Dam.
I think Enloe Dam has cost the ratepayers of Okanagan County over $25 million since 2008. And we haven't been able to see any benefits from that. It was an $18 million investment just to assess its potential. And I think the PUD rightly determined that it was not economically viable. That being said, I think we should work with local, federal, and state agencies and the Colville and Lower Smilkameen, Upper Smilkameen tribes to remove the dam, since it serves no good purpose for the utility, and turn the Smilkameen River into an economic driver for tourism and outdoor recreation. A vital fishery. Assessments have been done in the last year that predict 100,000 adult steelhead could spawn and live in the Upper Smilkameen, and it could be habitat for 1 million juvenile steelhead, where they could rear naturally. It would be no cost to the county. It would be a natural system, and I think we would attract fishermen, kayakers, paddlers, birders, hikers, bikers, and people from all over the state to come to our county as they do for general fishing season and hunting season, spend money in our downtown, boost our economic value, create jobs for local people in outdoor recreation, and be a tremendous asset, a growth provider, a job maker. Right now, it needs to go, and there's money available in the federal system. They've allocated $800 million for dam removal on federal lands, and our dam would certainly be a strong candidate in that competition for those federal dollars. I think we could have it removed at no cost to the ratepayer and of great benefit to all residents of Okanagan County.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who has a question? Anybody? Don't be shy. I've got my list of questions here if nobody has one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask a question. Okay, so given that there's been some legislation passed recently at the federal level and at the state level, but I'm talking about mostly at the federal level, that contains a lot of money for infrastructure and other things, climate change action. I'm wondering if you are familiar with what's in those bills and what the opportunities might be for Okanagan County, and do the provisions for those opportunities influence your choice of priorities over the next few years? And we'll start with, let's see, who went first? Jerry went first. So Joseph, you'll go first this time.
Yeah, I think there's tremendous opportunity there in the federal legislation. I know there's a strong emphasis on producing carbon-free energy, and that in my mind speaks clearly to the new generation of solar panels and solar generation that's being developed, new battery systems that can store large amounts of energy, new smart inverters that can supply that energy to the grid in a very compatible way. And there's a tremendous amount of interest in getting our energy more directly from the sun. A solar panel has no moving parts and produces a steady stream of electrons that can benefit our utility as well as our ratepayers. I think we should be looking at rooftop solar that's tied to our grid. I know that's a complicated technical problem for any utility to manage, but other utilities are doing so. And I think our utility should take steps forward in that direction. We're not going to learn until we try. And I think, as was suggested earlier, a few years back, our PUD could invest in some community solar and some of these new battery energy storage systems. And we should give it a go and explore the possibilities and see what we can do with that. The money's available. I think we should apply for grants, and we should try to build some of these new 21st century energy systems. I'm not for big solar fields. I'd rather see our housing stock equipped with solar panels so that they can generate electricity at the same time they're using electricity. It marks a new era in energy production where you have both consumers and producers in the same house. And I like that idea.
Great. Okay. Jerry, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, so as with any large government program, there's always lots of money out there. Accessing it is usually the fun part. These are all through grants, which at the PUD we chase a lot of grants, but due to our size and some of the requirements, it makes it hard for us to compete. But we always still strive to achieve grants where we can, apply technology to lower the cost to our customers. Also, a lot of these in this current round of legislation is done through tax credits, and the PUD doesn't pay taxes, so it makes it a little hard to access tax credits. There are some portions of it that are direct payments, and hopefully we can adjust them. I'm looking forward to new types of technology out there. I've always believed that we're build a better mousetrap kind of a deal, whether it's new solar, new nuclear, wind, or even small hydro in certain places, and I've looked into a lot of the technologies for energy storage, and I think that's where we can leverage the most out of the renewable energy forms, whether it be solar or wind.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have a follow-up or? Okay, because I actually have a little follow-up to that, talking about building out our renewables and just sort of related, particularly in the bill that actually hasn't quite been signed yet, but I'm sure it will be, the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot of money for transportation, electrifying our transportation systems in personal vehicles, and I think also commercial vehicles to some extent.
Right.
So what do you see as the PUD's role in helping us shift our transportation grid to more electric? And we'll go with Jerry first on that one.
I think our role in electrifying the grid is much the same as our role in the broadband, is to facilitate, access to our system and to supply the power to those units. I really think that we can achieve a lot of electrification of the transportation by just reaching the low-hanging fruit. The largest fleet in our state is a government fleet, and instead of trying to dole money out, they could easily electrify their fleet, because most of it's passenger cars going with one or two persons short distances, which would be easier to electrify. But I'm quite skeptical of providing a lot of infrastructure funding, because in some of my other jobs, you look at what a fast charger is put out there in Eastern Washington, and they cost over $100,000 a piece, and a lot of them are seeing 1.5 charges per month.
Okay. Thank you. Time's up. Joseph, you have 2 minutes to answer the question.
Well, I'm actually quite excited about the potential for electric vehicle transportation. I think advances are being made constantly, and it's quite exciting to see. The charging systems are becoming faster and faster. More and more people are choosing electric vehicles.
I didn't cooked off. I don't know what I did.
Hey, John. They have great potential for the future. I drive a work van that I consume over $100 a week in fuel, and I could see electric vehicle if I could afford one, and quite frankly now I can't. But wouldn't it be great to pull into my garage and be charged by a battery system that was solar energized on my rooftop, and be able to park my car and drive it without a $500 a month fuel bill to service my customers and my plumbing business. There's a new wave energy technology that's being developed that actually charges vehicles remotely, and it's being looked at seriously for public transportation on the west side. The advances in technology are happening so fast. I think we should be very open to it. We should make some investments in rapid charging stations throughout our county, so that though it may not be county residents, visitors to our area can utilize those. That will attract them to visit our area. And then little by little, incrementally, as electric vehicles join our fleets, we'll be ready for it. I think it's pretty exciting that the Ford F-150 Lightning has a 400-mile range, and you can plug in your house to it, or you can use it as a source of power on a construction site. I find that pretty exciting, and I think others will too. So I think we should take steps forward in that direction, maybe small steps, but those investments would be well spent. $100,000 charging stations would be $1 million investment, but it would be an investment into the future and in a direction that I think all roads are pointing that way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Your time's up. Okay, we've probably got time for maybe 2 more questions. Let's see. Does anybody else?
I've got one, Katie, but I don't know how to raise my hands.
Oh, well, that's fine. Just you spoke up, so that's good. Go ahead, Bill.
I don't expect anybody to be aware of everything that's going on these days. There's just too much. So I'm not going to fault either of you if you aren't aware of this program. But there is a growing program, particularly in the Midwest, of solar farmer cooperation. And one of you said you didn't want to see big solar operations and solar arrays, but there are farmers who are making considerable amounts of money to offset some of their costs by putting solar arrays up on their fields. They can still use the fields for agriculture, so they're dual purpose. And to a certain extent, certainly in our area, I would imagine it would be possible to do some rain collection off of those arrays and get a little boost that way as well. So I guess I'm just asking if either of you have heard of it, and if you haven't, appreciate it if you would look into it.
Okay, we'll go with, let's see. I can't remember who went first. I think Jerry goes first this time.
That's fine. I have been following this quite a bit. Being a farmer, you look at different land use issues. In the Midwest, there's people on both sides of the issue. As far as, you know, some like what it's going to do to the local economy and others don't. And so it becomes a local land use issue there. But also, there are a lot of marginal lands that can be converted to energy production. You see this quite a bit in the Northwest with wind farms, where farmers rent space for the wind towers and generate a nice secondary income. Currently, there's a large solar project planned for farm ground in Douglas County, just out of East Wenatchee, and they are again finding the local control issue between the state, the county, and the local citizenry. And I'm watching that closely to see how they work all that out.
Okay. Joseph?
I think it can be a very good fit. There's a lot of plant species that could do well in the partial shade of a solar field. And in those instances, it makes sense. And if a landowner is into cultivating vegetable crops and lettuces and things of this type for market, and could receive the benefit of solar array over their cropland, I think that's a pretty good mix. I also think a lot of our parking lots could well be shaded by solar arrays that would be producing energy, as well as keeping the cars below out of the direct sun or out of the extreme weather of winter. And it could be also a very effective combination. I think we should look into all this stuff, see what's working. And if it's working and it makes sense, then it's something that we can consider adoption here in our county as well. We have to find the right landowner and the right use of the land and a utility willing to invest in that solar system. But I think it has great potential for the future.
Okay, great. Well, it's 12, almost 13 minutes after, so I think we'll just stop there. We have a couple minutes. I think, would each of you like to have like 1 minute to just do a little wrap up summary closing statement? I'll let you go ahead and do that. So Joseph, 1 minute, and then Jerry, 1 minute.
I would like to make our public utility a better servant of the public, not just in the sense of providing electricity, but being accessible and available to answer the needs of ratepayers and citizens of our county. I think for too long, it's sort of been a high citadel on the hill. And I think we should move away from every meeting being at Monday at 3 p.m. and have some evening meetings that locals can attend. I love the idea of having the PUD meetings Zoom accessed, and anything that we can do to really make our ratepayers feel a part of the public utility, I think would go a long way toward building community trust and cooperation, and could be a source of many, many new ideas. I think a citizens advisory panel might be an interesting way to let smart people within our community play a role in the policy making of the public utility.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Thanks, Joseph. Jerry, you have 1 minute to do your closing
Okay.
statement.
And I just like to thank the Democrats for the opportunity to talk to a segment of our community. I'm always available to listen and to talk to people. If anybody knows me, they've found that to be true. And I just strive to bring the skills that the county has invested in me to the PUD, to bring a strong form of governance so we can have a PUD that meets and responds to the needs of our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, we really appreciate you both taking the time to come and speak with us and share your thoughts. So if you would both like to leave now, or you're welcome to come and to stay and listen to the county commissioner candidates, I suppose, if you want to. I see that John Neal is here. I am not seeing Lloyd. He's not in the waiting room. Oh, here he is. Okay, here we go. So let me just let me get him on here. Yeah, so Joseph and Jerry, you're welcome to leave at any time. I will ask all the candidates to leave when the county commissioner candidate group is done, and then we'll just carry on our Democrats business after that. But okay, we'll let Lloyd get all joined up here with his video and audio. I suspect he probably is in an area that doesn't have very stable internet, is my guess, but I know he's joined other Zooms before, so I'm sure he'll get connected here shortly.
I apologize for talking over Joseph, but my screen went black and I had nothing.
Oh, that's fine. That we all are used to all the little glitches with Zoom by now.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, there he is. Lloyd, can you hear us? Oh, shoot. It looks like your audio is still working to connect, so we'll give it a minute. Lloyd, it looks like your audio may have connected. Can you hear us?
I'm a little bit technology challenged.
That's okay. I think we can hear you now, so that's fantastic. So I just want to say welcome to both of you. We have John Neal and Lloyd Caton. As just to refresh everyone's memory, we just had a primary, and John and Lloyd were the two candidates who made it through the primary and are going to be in the general election. This is an open seat. The incumbent did not run, so neither one of them has held this seat before. So the format tonight, each one of you will have 2 minutes to do a little introduction of yourself and tell us why you're running. And then we'll have questions, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. And then similar to the PUD candidates, we'll give you a little 1-minute closing statement. So I think we'll stick with the alphabetical by last name. So Lloyd, you can go first, and then John. So Lloyd, you'll have 2 minutes to introduce yourself to us and tell us why you're running.
Oh, howdy, I live here in Tenasket, and I've been here. My family's been here since 1902. So as you can see, Okanagan County is near and dear to me, and what happens in this county is important. And the reason I decided to run for county commissioner is I would like to be a servant of the people. My campaign slogan is "Let me serve you," and my goal is that people will. This county, like I say, is very important, and I want to be a voice for the north end of the county, but not just that, a voice for the whole county. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever you call yourself. I want to listen. I want to find common ground. And I want to work to solve the problems and issues that are going to come before us, and try to interrupt or assault our way of life. Because Okanagan County is a wonderful place. It's still a good place to be. We love living here. There's people love to visit. And, in my opinion, this is a little piece of God's country right here. And we need to take care of it. And we need to listen to all the voices and do the very best job we can with the time, money of this place. And so it'd be an honor and a privilege for me to work for the citizens of Okanagan County.
Thank
I got any
you.
time left?
Maria, how's he on time? I think you're pretty much close to the end of your time.
Okay.
You'll have, yeah, time's up. Okay, John, you have 2 minutes to give your introduction and tell us why you're running.
All right, my name's John Neal. I am a lifetime resident of Okanagan County, Orville specifically. Third generation on actually both sides of my family. I've been married to my wife Tracy for 35 years. We have 3 grown children that we raised in the area, 6 grandchildren. Owned and operated my own business for the last 30 years. Been part of city government for 21 years, the last 6 years as the mayor of Orville. Been part of numerous organizations and did hiring processes for the city of Orville and through Trango and OCOG. So I feel like I have a lot of experience in the city part of it, which would carry over very well to the county part. I'm also on the Okanagan County Communications Advisory Board, founding member and chairman of Orville Cares, which is a youth drug awareness education, which we do try to organize and structure community alternative choices through education, awareness, and just alternative activities. I've been a member of the Orville Fire Department for the last 15 years. I'm also a member of the Orville Masonic Lodge, volunteered for numerous coaching for youth sports, basketball, football, baseball, track, hockey. I'm running to be a county commissioner, and not to sound redundant, but I mean, to serve the public, to give the north end of the county a greater voice in county politics. And I really want to include the cities in that decision-making. Sometimes they get left out and kind of forgotten, but we're all part of the same county. And the rules apply to all of us. And the decisions the county commissioners make apply to every member of the county, not just the north end, not just the cities, not just the rural. So I would be honored to become the next commissioner and do what I can to serve the public and all of you the best I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Your time is up. All right, so I'll just ask folks to raise their hands again if you have a question. Does anybody? Okay, I have some questions written here. So I guess the first question I would ask is, in your own words, not a job description that's written on a website somewhere, but in your own words, what do you think is the main job of a county commissioner? And we'll go with we'll reverse the order. So John, you'll go first this time, and then Lloyd.
No, that is a good question. In my opinion, probably the main job of a county commissioner is to do what the commission can to make sure the public safety is maintained, whether that be with roads, law enforcement, fire protection, all that. Mental and behavioral health is a growing concern for all of us. I know that behavioral health department has their own budgetary issues and staffing issues, which the communications I've had with them, they are doing what they can to improve that. Working with law enforcement, it's a constant issue on their end, and so many times their hands are kind of tied, and I don't really know what the proper answer for that is, but I think we need to address every avenue on that issue because it affects crime, everything else that our county is dealing with. But like I said, I mean, personally, I think public safety is probably the primary concern. And you can go on and on with taxes and budgetary constraints and wages for county employees. All those need to be addressed, but I do believe safety is probably my biggest concern.
Okay, thank you. Lloyd, you have 2 minutes.
Would you read the question again, please?
Yes, let me, just, in your own words, could you describe what you think the main job of a county commissioner is?
Okay, thank you. I believe county commissioners are managers. We manage money, time, and resources to best serve the public that we work for. And there's, a few main functions of government that take priority in that. And one of those is public safety, law enforcement, a court system, first responders, infrastructure, water, sewer, power. And it's our job as commissioners to manage the tax dollars that we take out of your pocket to address those priorities and do the best that we can for the citizens of Okanagan County. That requires, sitting in on lots of budget meetings with lots of different departments. I think Okanagan County has, I can't remember now, if it's 31 or 79 different budgets. We have to approve and look over and make sure the different departments and different offices in the county are using our money wisely. And then we have to try to work in little extra things. John said it very well. We have a small crime wave going on in Okanagan County right now. I talked to a business owner in Okanagan and was appalled at what happened to him. Caught a shoplifter. Sheriff comes down, gets their stuff, hands it back to him, and sends the shoplifter down the street. We can't keep doing that like that, whether it be theft or whatever it is, murder, all the different things going on. And so we would need to work, that comes in safety, and protection of the people. And it's something we'd have to work with the sheriff and do a budget that would allow him to, whoever he is, to do his job and to advocate for him on the state level to get the laws straightened out that he can do his job. And so
Okay.
I think we're managers. I think we manage money, time, resource, people.
Thank you, Lloyd. Your
Best
time is up.
use and community.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd. Okay, I see, it looks like Jason, you have your hand up?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lloyd. Jason, you have a question? You need to unmute.
There we go. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right. So I'd ask the two of you, what do you think are the most pressing infrastructure and capital projects that would need to be focused on here in the county?
Okay, this time we'll reverse the order. So Lloyd, you will go first and then John. So 2 minutes.
Okay, so the most pressing issues, would you say that again, please? My air conditioner, everything running, I'm not hearing you guys real well.
Sure. What do you view as the most pressing infrastructure and capital projects that the county would need to address?
Well, in my opinion, our most pressing sewer issue up in Oroville that needs to be addressed, and the roads of Okanagan County, they need some TLC. I see lots of different roads in my profession, and some of them aren't very good. Those roads need to be so that people can get to work, that the farmers can get their goods to market, that the tourists can get out there and enjoy this beautiful country that we have here. And I think infrastructure would be one of my most important ones. Capital projects, boy, I'm not sure. There's talk of needing a new jail. Maybe we would participate in some kind of a regional jail. And that might be something that we need to take a hard look at if we're going to try to get a handle on the crime that's so prevalent right now in the county. We're going to need to do something, even if we build a tent city jail like that guy in Arizona did, Joe Aperio or whatever his name was. But I think infrastructure is probably one of our big issues, and water. We need to protect our water, and the capital projects, you know, sewer, water, roads. That's, you got to have that for people.
Okay, thank you. John, would you like to hear the question repeated?
Please.
Jason, can you say it again?
Yeah, what do you view as the most pressing infrastructure and capital projects that need to be addressed here in the county?
Once again, it's never good to go second. I personally almost feel like maybe the water is the pressing issue, because as we know, there is a moratorium in the Met How. They have plenty of land, but no water to expand. We're kind of finding that in my local area too. We are now doing a water survey to figure out how many ERUs we have available, because we have upwards of potentially 700 new homes in our local area that people want to develop. Whether that ever happens or not, who knows? But talk is cheap, but development's expensive. As far as roads, we have done through OCOG a back road study to try to figure out what roads are more crucial, more so from a standpoint of public safety for egress and degress in the case of an emergency. That some of our outlying areas, that is probably one of the biggest and scariest issue. Being a first responder, I've been numerous places that there is one way in, one way out, and it's amazing how many people live in these areas. And if something happens, they are stuck, and it's virtually impossible for any form of first responders to get there. Another thing is as far as ecologically, I mean, we have so many developments that are close to watershed or in watersheds, close to waterfront, that's a issue that I think the whole county needs to look at. It's an expensive venture, but locally we're doing it on one side of the lake. There's talk about doing it on the other side, but there are no funds to accomplish that. So, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you. It looks like Bill Kresge, you have your hand up.
Yes, I did. Compared to the two of you, having only been here for 25 years, I'm just a newbie. But I grew up rural back in Northeast Ohio. Spent way more time in the city than I wanted to, and I'm back where I belong. So with that in mind, I cherish the Okanagan Way, and I wonder what both of your visions are in terms of striking a balance between economic development and maintaining what is becoming an increasingly priceless aspect of living that we have available to us in this area.
Okay, thank you, Bill. This time, John, you'll go first.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with you. This county is priceless. Our way of life is priceless, and the natural part of it is something that we can't replace. My opening statement, and I think it's in my voters pamphlet, is we know change is going to happen. It's a matter of controlling it and doing it in such a way that it doesn't adversely affect everybody else. So yeah, development will happen. Hopefully we can limit it and control it and not let it become a Chelan. Not knocking Chelan, but we have friends that live there and they can't hardly afford to live there anymore. It escalates your property values so much that, I mean, if you're selling property, you're loving it, but if you want to live there, it's terrible. So as far as industry, I don't know what new industry we can hope to get here. There has been a couple items that have been proposed, and unfortunately, somebody on the west side has nixed both of those. I don't have documentation, but that's the reports I've gotten. So we do need some form of industry to supplement what we have and keep our economy going, but hopefully we can do it in such a way that it doesn't adversely affect the natural beauty that we have here. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Lloyd, you have 2 minutes to answer.
Okay, I'm going to ask him to repeat his question again, please.
Bill, are you with us? Can you repeat your question, please? I don't know if he can hear us.
Yes, I can.
Oh, there you go.
No, technology is wonderful until it isn't.
Yeah.
Basically, the question is what vision do you have for this area 10 years down the road? Obviously, it's going to be imperative that we develop some sort of more stable economic base if we're going to keep and attract young people. But what is your vision of how to balance that necessity against maintaining what's becoming a more and more scarce and ever more precious resource that we have in this county, which is its natural beauty?
Well, I believe that we need to protect what we have, and we have viable industries here now. Our agriculture industry here in Okanagan County is still very important and employs a lot of people and has a lot of family wage jobs. Tourism is here in Okanagan County also. I believe we could grow tourism some, and the problem with tourism though is it creates a lot of opening wage jobs. They're not family wage jobs, but still it's a job and it's an income. We have to be very careful that we don't allow our agricultural endeavors, whether it be logging or farming or cattle or whatever, to be done in such a way that it causes more harm than good. I believe with cattle and logging and farming that we can do a lot to maintain, for example, our healthy forests. We have forests here in the county. They're just beautiful. Go up to Totes Coulee or go up in the Medhow or go up even, go up Dissatel. Fast. There's still beautiful parts of the county out there where the timber's beautiful. And right now it's all threatened. And part of that's mismanagement. Part of it's the natural progression of nature. But we need to protect those things and we need to use the tools we have to do that. I would love to see some kind of light industry come in here. What that is, I'm not sure. But we need to promote this county. We have relatively inexpensive power. We have very talented workers, very good workers. We can do anything here in Okanagan County that they do anywhere else. And maybe we'll have to put our salesman hats on and go sell ourselves to Microsoft or somebody to come in here and have some sort of light industry that would employ people at a family wage job. But we have to be very careful that we protect our resources.
Thank you, Lloyd. Your
I
time.
think I heard her say time's up.
Yep. Thank you, Lloyd. Okay, did I see someone else put their hand up? Yes, Charlene. Go ahead with your question.
So I would like to hear your comments or about the public health district in Okanagan County and the high rate of addiction in Okanagan County, opioids and the move is trying to make to help with that. If you guys know about the movements are trying to deal with that problem. That's it.
Okay. Well, okay. Thanks. This time, Lloyd, you'll go first and then John.
Okay. My opinion as a public trying to watch out for the health of the citizens of Okanagan County, whether it be through food handling or the recent pandemic we've been in and that we're going to have to, I think they're all good and noble. Maybe we could do some things differently, but I think that their hearts and their minds are in the right place. The addiction problem we have here in Okanagan County sad to say, it's not just here. It's everywhere. How do we solve that? I'm not sure. Nobody else has figured it out yet. I'm not sure that we in Okanani and have a family court and a drug court and stuff to work with people that have those problems and try to find them help and try to get them on the right track. And I believe that's possible with most people. As far as these people with the drug problems, I have to be honest with you, I'm not aware of who's doing that, what organizations are. I know behavioral health care does some. I met with Mr. McClay and they work with those people some, but they're shortage in other places. It's a sad travesty, and it's I don't have a good answer for you. I can't tell you how I'm going to fix it. And I guess that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd. Tough question. John, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
It is.
Can you ever repeat exactly the question?
Yeah, Charlene, could
Please.
you repeat the question?
I said, I would just like to hear your opinions and comments about the public health district in Okanagan County and especially about the opioid epidemic. So Lloyd outlined what they do as a organization, but I'm involved with different organizations that are trying to help in the jails and outside with this problem. And I'm wondering if you're aware of those things.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I am aware. I mean, as chairman of the Orville Cares, which is kind of in place to deal with this on a youth level, I think education is first and foremost. I mean, we start at, I believe it's 2nd grade, trying to educate through the school system, and initially had a lot of resistance to the elementary grades trying to educate them. But if you don't start young, they just don't get it, because they get into their teens and everybody puts up a wall and tries to buck the system. So I think if you start young, it's going to make a drastic difference. The other thing is, as far as public health, the mental health part of it is first and foremost with drug addiction. I mean, most of the time people that are on whatever it may be, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, they start because of they feel inadequate or depressed or whatever that initial symptom, sorry about that, might be. But and that's one of the things that, I mean, nationally, the mental health is very underserved. I mean, it goes into pretty much every detrimental aspect in our society right now, whether it be crime, domestic violence, whatever that may be. And so as far as the opioid crisis, I think that's a place to start, but it needs to be more widespread than even that, as far as trying to treat the problem that we have. All right, thank you.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have a question? Do I see any hands up? Okay, I'll go with some of the questions that I have. I just am going to ask sort of a really general question about, how your thought process might work. So the question I have is, what are the primary factors that go into a decision that you would make when it comes to creating policy? What are the criteria that you would look at before you make a policy, such as an ordinance or a regulation or something like that? So John, you would go first here. 2 minutes.
Okay, I guess first and foremost, you have to weigh the pros and cons. How is it going to help the county or individuals, and how may it be a detriment to them? I mean, sometimes you want to tax people to get a positive outcome, but the taxation is such a burden that it almost defeats the purpose. And I mean, that's very general and can apply to almost anything, but you really have to weigh the good against the bad. And we all want a lot of things in our society, whether it be increased public safety or services or whatever that may be, but you have to decide whether the people as a whole in our county can afford it. I mean, unfortunately, we are one of the most depressed economically per capita areas in the state, and we're serving the largest square mile county in the state. So they don't work well together as far as trying to justify a budget and trying to make things work. But like I said, I mean, weighing the good outcomes against the negatives is probably first and foremost in my mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And Lloyd, you can answer 2 minutes and then we'll wrap it up with our little 1 minute closing statement. So Lloyd, once again, the
Well,
question.
thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, when I make a decision on policy or something, and I had this experience when I was on the school board for Tenasket for 12 years, you have to listen to all the voices. And then do this, is there a state law, federal law, or city ordinance or whatever that already addresses this? Then you have to decide, okay, this decision I'm going to make, what's the long-term effect here? What's going to happen 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road if I, with this decision? And then you have to listen to the people and find a goal this ordinance need to accomplish. And is this ordinance good for Okanagan County, or is it good for just a sector of the Okanagan County? We need to pass ordinances, rules, bylaws, whatever, that are good generally for the whole county. Sometimes, you have to make some decisions that are kind of address a small group or something, but you need to look at who's all this is going to affect. How is it going to affect them? Are we going to raise taxes? Are we going to raise fees? Are we going to impede a right that you have? And see if there's really a need for the ordinance. And then you have to, like John said, we need to just make smart decisions and try to think down the road, not just a knee-jerk reaction to something I'm not about, but we need to look at the long-term effect of the ordinances that we make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Time's up. Okay, we'll just go with a quick little 1 minute closing statement from each of you. John, you can go first, and then Lloyd.
All right, perfect. I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to do this. Questions are always interesting. You never know what to expect, but like I said in the opening, I would be honored for any or all of you to look at me for our next county commissioner. I think I have the experience and the fortitude, as you can tell from my opening. When I start something, I stick with it to the end. Sometimes people say I stick with it too long, but I am one of those that once I get a hold of something, I want all the information. I want to make sure I do everything to the best of my ability. And like I said, I would be honored for you guys to give me the opportunity to be the next commissioner. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Lloyd, 1 minute closing statement.
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me into your meeting tonight. It's an honor. And I sure appreciate the questions. And like you say, you never know where these questions are coming from. It's hard to study up and be ready for one of these. I'd consider it an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be the next county commissioner for District 3. I have a lot of experience with the school board. I was there 12 years at Tenasket School Board, and I was fortunate enough that school board, I don't remember what year it was. Anyway, we started this initiative where the state used to deduct timber dollars at the rural districts that had timberland on them. The Forest Service would pay money for that every year, kind of like an in lieu of. That money would be paid to the county, and half of it went to the county for infrastructure, actually the other half went to the school districts in that county. Well, then the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, Olympia, would promptly deduct that from your basic education allowance. And I started an initiative through WASDA. It took us 6 years, but we got state law changed that OSPI could no longer deduct that money from these rural districts that receive timber dollars. And as long as the federal government continues to fund that, and all the state will receive their timber dollars. There was one district that it cost them $1 million a year.
Okay, wrap
So
it up.
thank you for
Lloyd.
inviting me here. I have some experience. I have experience working with legislators and school boards and everybody all across the state. And I really look forward to being your next county commissioner. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you both. We really appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, good luck to both of you.
Well, thank you. And I really want a pillow like yours next time.
Okay, yeah. Believe me, you don't want to have to do what I did to get here, which is have a smashed up knee. So
Okay.
anyway, all right. Thank you both. So now if all of our candidates could leave our meeting, including Joseph and Jerry, we're going